How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Tales from the Darkside. This is Season 3, Episode 13, and this one's entitled The Milkman Cometh. This is from January 25th, 1987, and we are directed by series regular John Strysik. We star Robert Foster, Seymour Cassel, Shannon, Wilcox, and Chad Allen. The teleplay was by Donald Wollner, based on a story by Charles Grant. In this episode, a milkman is servicing this neighborhood. He comes in the middle of the night and leaves you milk. But there's a rumor going around the neighborhood that if you leave the milkman a note in the box, he'll grant you whatever you wish. And that quickly turns out to be proven true, and people start to exploit this, asking for big things. But who is this milkman? No one ever sees him, and can you really trust someone you don't know granting your every wish? Well, we'll see. And overall, while I don't think this episode of Darkside is perfect by any means, it's a really fun and a really solid episode. That thing about be careful what you wish for, that's always a classic anthology horror idea, and they don't go so far as to make it that monkey's paw, every little thing you ask for is going to get turned on its head, so it's not as outwardly evil, but we're horror fans, we know to be suspicious. But also, the milkman is a cool character. They keep him kind of in the shadows, he sneaks around late at night, and for something as innocuous as a milkman, they make him cool, and they make him really ominous. That's fun. As far as flaws, though, there is things like an 8-month jump that happens a little too early, but hey, we only have 22 minutes, right? And you also get where most of the wishes are talked about, not actually seen. And that's, again, Darkside budget. They can't show people winning 8 cars in sweepstakes. You're just gonna have to hear about it secondhand. So there is that. And also, I do have to wonder why people are so quick to distrust him. We're a horror audience. The audience has a right to be suspicious. And I mean, it is something coming out of nowhere for free, but people really start to, certain characters will be like, don't trust the milkman really, really quick. And one guy does totally mess up his wish, but when you look at what he asked for, yeah, that wish is gonna be messed up. That's on him. And overall, though, the milkman, like I said, if you mess up or if you ask for something weird, you might get screwed over. But if you just keep asking for cash, if you keep it to the simple stuff, I think I could work with the milkman, It's one of those cases, remember the one with the, A New Lease on Life, where the apartment's kind of alive and stuff? And I'm like, yeah, for $200 a month, I think I could do that. This is another case of, yeah, I won't ask the milkman for anything too crazy. I could do this. Just let me have the milkman giving me that $1,000 a week, and I won't try to do anything too crazy. I think I could live in this one. Anyway, though, it still is a pretty solid episode, and I would definitely recommend it. Not the best the series has to offer, and like I said, there are parts we'll talk about where it doesn't 100% work, but still a really fun, solid episode, and definitely worth a watch. Without further ado, let's talk a bit about that plot. I won't be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few plot points and make sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what this book's about. So without further ado, let's start to do a bit of a deeper analysis. I, again, won't cover the end, though. We open up with a family, mom, dad, and son. The dad is an ad man, and he's whipping up a sketch for his, for a fish stick ad, and it's doing okay, but he's not really doing great, you know? And we find out it's not just a so-so career path. Things aren't doing too good. They're struggling financially, down to their last $200 for the whole family. And it turns out it's not just the cash. They're recently recovering from a miscarriage, and the doctor said to the wife that you probably won't be able to have another baby. Your one son is probably going to be it for you, and they have to start to process that information. So it's pretty dark. I will say, when I heard the title, The Milkman Cometh, I was a little worried this would be a comedy episode, and then they start talking about this stuff, and I'm like, okay, we're not doing comedy here. But anyway, the son says that his wristwatch broke. Yeah, we're already dating this episode with Milkman. Let's talk about wristwatches. But he said it broke and he lost it. So he wants to ask his dad for a new one. The wife, of course, says they can't afford that. And he makes an offhanded remark about how he'll just ask the milkman for a new one. And it turns out that, yeah, there's a legend, a rumor going around the town that if you leave a note in the box for the milkman, he'll grant you the wish. And of course, they don't believe him. That sounds like just a silly kid's story. I do want to say, yeah, sadly, this episode is a little bit dated with the milkman concept. Sadly, not something that we have nowadays. And that, yeah, like I said, kind of sad. Because if you look at it, the milkman would go out on his route, deliver milk to everybody. The containers would be glass, perfectly recyclable. They didn't even have to melt the glass down. It was the same company, so they'd wash them and reuse them. So, reusable. Great for the environment. And on top of that, to your door delivery, doorstep delivery, that's a big thing nowadays. So really, to your door delivery and recyclability, it's a shame they got rid of this, because to be honest, my generation would love it. I guess it was that whole rumor about the milkman sleeping with everybody's wives, or I don't know, maybe just capitalism took this away. But sadly, we don't have this nowadays. But anyway, the dad decides he's going to leave a letter to the milkman. He does it, he doesn't really believe it, but he thinks, I'm in a bad situation, what the heck, why not do it, even if I'm kind of doing it as a joke. But his wife doesn't know about it, and he writes a note. He says that he would like the raise, and he would like a new watch for his son. Well, cut to the next day, and the son says, I found my watch. It was just sitting on my desk. I don't know how I didn't see it. But also the parts of it that were broken completely work again just fine. It's like it's like the watch got reset back to factory settings. And then we cut to 8 months later, which I think is a super weird thing, that we didn't get, like, say, a phone call from his boss telling him he got the promotion as well. I mean, we kind of get where this story is going, so we don't need a million examples before we cut to the future, but it is kind of strange that it's like, hey, my watch is working 8 months later. Okay, why not? But anyway, we jump to the future. He's doing much better financially, and his wife is also pregnant. That whole thing where the doctor said you're probably not going to ever have another baby, well, she's pretty close to giving birth, and it looks like this guy's life is doing great. He's talking to one of his friends. They come over for dinner, and the friend makes a casual, offhanded remark about the milkman, which he tries to blow away, because it turns out the wife didn't know that he had been messing with the milkman. And they talk later, and he's like, I thought your wife would have to know by now. Mine knows. And she'll confront him about it. Have you been writing letters to the milkman? I swear, you've changed. And that is the thing, is he is drinking heavier now, but we don't notice like a super hard switch in his character. I mean, he was goofier before and he's more serious now, but we never see him go super deep or super dark. So this whole thing with the wife, I mean, I get, don't just trust something that's too good, but, it's like for 8 months the milkman's been leaving you tons of money and you're just like, now I don't trust him and I'm angry at the milkman. It does kind of come out of nowhere more forced than maybe it should be. Although that being said, suspicion, probably a good thing to have, especially if you're an anthology whore. It's just, it comes out a little faster than it's earned. But it turns out the guy he got the promotion, but he quit his job because he's making more money with the milkman anyway. He asked the milkman every week for $1,000, and he goes down and wins it at the track. And I do find it kind of odd, he does have to, like, you don't just leave the money with the milk. I mean, I guess that'd be too obvious. But he says he's quit his job, and he's writing a book, and he's drinking and getting inspiration. He wanted to be a writer beforehand, had to give it up to pursue a career for his wife and kids. Kind of makes this feel like a Stephen King story, but that's beside the point. This isn't. But yeah, like I said, I wonder about his powers, because giving him ideas, that's kind of a metaphysical power. That's not just doing something physical. We know the milkman can do things like make trees sprout. Some guy asks for a tree and it just appears fully grown in his front yard. But like for money, they have to win it. Money and cars, they win them. So it's, more of a reason to have them. But he can just put the ideas in people's heads, which makes me wonder, can he make the book good? Like, because in theory, he'd only be able to give a book as good as the milkman himself could have written. I don't know. Can he make the book successful? Can he get people to buy it? And also, they don't do this in the episode, but I really have to wonder if he could have wrote, Milkman, make my wife love me again. You think that would have worked? I mean, that would have been dark and that would be manipulating someone. But I do have to wonder if it's real. As the episode goes on, we also get, like I hinted at earlier, one of his friends does mess up a wish. I won't spoil what that is, but when you look at what he said, yeah, just be careful with the milkman. It's really, you expect it to go monkey's paw. You expect it to be, like, super messed up if you ask for just, like, hey, milkman, can I have a glass of water? And then you're drowning or something, The milkman doesn't do that. And as long as you don't go too crazy, the milkman seems fairly reasonable, yet still people don't trust him. But we also get him staying up late to try to see and talk to the milkman, which in my head I'm like, don't do that. That is gonna go wrong. Don't mess with the milkman. You have a good thing going. Don't screw it up. But he tries to see him, and boy, do they make him ominous. He's walking on the porch, and you see maybe some of his feet at first. You don't get to see all of him. And primarily, what you see is his silhouette on the windows and on the curtains and stuff. Man, something as innocuous as a milkman, Darkside makes look really, really scary. And yeah, he's coming around at night. It's an innocuous thing, and they present it in the scariest way possible. Like I said, I won't spoil how the episode ends. It does end on a pretty fun visual, a good way to wrap the episode up, and it does play off this whole thing. Overall, a really fun episode. Like I said, it had a little problems, like, winning the 8 cars. You don't see that. A lot of the wishes you don't see, but they're talked about. And that 8-month time skip was weird and a little forced, and people are a little too quick to hate the milkman, which I did find was kind of odd. But that being said, it's still a solid, be careful what you wish for episode. Still really, really fun, and I definitely do have to like it. You know, not quite a classic, but plays into good classic tropes, and I really thought it was fun. Even if it's not the best thing ever, still would recommend watching it. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Tales from the Darkside playlist, where you should be able to find my reviews of the past episodes, a Season 1 and 2 overview, a review for the Joe Hill comic, and an early review for the Yattering and Jack. So there's quite a bit there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Darkside playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.